Bird Nation Sports Show. We have with us our greatest guest ever, Mr. Scott Stanford, who is part of Channel 11 News.
Start again. Start it over. Go ahead. I haven't been at Picks in 2 years.
You're nervous. You're nervous.
Yeah.
Come on.
Okay. You want me to start over again?
Yeah, start over again, man. You're right. What's the difference?
Ladies and gentlemen, we have our guest with us who was with Channel 11 News here in New York and was one of the greatest sportscasters of all time, Mr. Scott Stanford.
Wow. All time, huh? That's not woof.
Yeah, you're getting GOAT status.
Yeah.
I thought I was like number 246 in New York.
No, number one.
Nice, my friend. Nice. All right, I'll take that. You guys are off to a good start. I like it.
What's up, Scott?
How you guys doing?
Doing very well. How are you doing?
I am doing swell. It is an absolute honor to be on this program. I've heard lots of good things.
We appreciate you taking the time and coming on our show.
You got it, boys.
Carl?
So, Scott, my first question for you is, what got you into broadcasting?
Broadcasting in general, since I'm a little kid, I used to run around the house with a microphone in my hand going, Johnny, tell him what he's won. I always wanted to be a game show host. I always wanted to be a game show host / Mean Gene Okerlund from WWE. That was another guy who I looked up to because at the time, I still am a big wrestling fan. But I always wanted to get in on the broadcasting side of it. And I used to just love, Mean Gene's style and the way he would broadcast. All right, Hulk Hogan, come on in. And on the flip side, I was always a big fan of Bob Barker, who was the host of The Price is Right, because he was hanging out with 3 of the hottest women I had ever seen at that time. Diane Parkinson and Janice Dickinson. And I forgot the redheaded woman's name was Holly something or other, but I always wanted to be Bob Barker on that side. So even from the time I was a little kid, I played sports, never really wanted to be the professional athlete, but always wanted to be, on camera, on the mic since I'm, literally 5, 6, 7 years old.
Right.
So, Scott, when you were, growing up, would you be the type of kid who, if, like, let's say the Mets were playing or like the Jets were playing, you would mute the TV and try to broadcast the game?
You know what's funny? It's funny you say that. My brother is a cameraman, and when he got his first camcorder, it was one of those big VHS.
Oh, I remember those.
Yes.
You slide the big door, and the tape goes in. What we used to do is, it's funny. We were huge Met fans, and we would record a game, and my brother and I and another friend of ours would then put his video camcorder on us, and we would call the play-by-play of the games. Back when Strawberry and Dwight Gooden were on the teams,
Sure.
back in the mid '80s, right before they won the World Series, and that's exactly what we used to do. And if I was in the car listening to sports on the radio, I would repeat what the guys were saying, following along with Marv Albert and things like that, and just the more you repeat it, the more comfortable you are doing it. But I was always wanted to be, if you're a Met fan growing up, you knew, Lindsey Nelson, Bob Murphy, Ralph Kiner, right? Those were the 3 guys when we were kids. And you always wanted to be one of those guys growing up, especially if you were a Met fan. So, yeah, we did exactly what you just said.
Speaking about the Mets, let's go to them quickly. What are your thoughts on how do you think they're going to do this season?
This season, listen, I think they're going to do. I think they'll be a lot better than in seasons past. They got Lindor right at short. Steve Cohn he's going to be a great owner. The guy's got limitless funds. Although once I understand he promised all the other owners he wasn't going to go crazy and make everybody look bad. But I think, listen, with DeGrom on the mound, Lindor. You got a couple of the young guys still in there, who have matured over the last few years. I think they're going to have a decent season. Whether they make the playoffs or not, you can never tell. That's baseball, Susan. But it's just, I think they're going to have a very competitive team. And I think Met fans are going to have a real exciting season this year.
Stephen?
Talking about the Mets, the guy that people thought in the Mets fandom that he was going to go to their team, Trevor Bowers. He played the Mets and the Dodgers cards, flip flopping on social media. Eventually, he went to the Dodgers, signing that deal with them. How do you think that Trevor Bowers is going to do with the defending World Series champions, the Los Angeles Dodgers, this season?
Guy's going to be great. Listen, the Dodgers are a great team. They will continue to they'll do great this year. And listen, that's the business of sports, right? If you, even for us, if two different companies wanted us, and they were both the same type of company, and you'd go to either one, whoever wants to give you the most money, that's where you're going to go. But when you're dealing with, God, hundreds of millions of dollars, right? You think to yourself, does it really make a difference if this guy's going to make 300 million or 310 million?
Right.
He opted for Hollywood and LA, and the nicer weather. And it's just, right. It's just one of those things, man. It's, these guys, it's funny how he put out that tweet. I think he put out the tweet, but I'm still going to donate to Mets charities. Right. That was Bauer who put that out, but don't worry, Mets. We care if you donate to Mets charities. Right.
Yeah.
But listen, I think the guy's going to fit right in with that rotation. And it just makes the Dodgers another front runner to win the division again this year, right?
Yeah. Well,
Right.
my thing is this: Bauer better hope he's not he's not pitching in the series when they come to this field, because when you have fans there with how passionate the New York Mets fan base is,
they're gonna boo the heck out of him.
People
he'll
think
be
John
booed right out of
Rocker.
the stadium.
You think John Rocker got heat thrown at him when he was with Atlanta? Yeah, no. Bauer's gonna get 10 times worse. But Carl?
So I also know you follow football.
A little
bit. How do you think that the Giants and the Jets in the upcoming draft look with what they need?
Well, listen, when you listen to all the Jets action, it's whether or not they go for that the quarterback in the second pick, right? Hold on, I just want to bring you guys back up. For some reason, it just went minimized here. Oh, there we are. So it's all about the Jets. Whether you hear Douglas, the GM, all the talk is we're going to stick with Sam's our guy. So on and so forth, and
right.
Bauer, Trevor. See, now you got me still on Bauer.
It's okay.
What's the kid's name from Clemson?
Trevor Lawrence.
Trevor Lawrence.
Yes.
Who always reminds me of the prince who from Shrek who rescues the girl in the tower with his hair.
Yeah.
Yes.
Trevor Lawrence he's gonna go first, right? And listen, to me, I would love to see the Jets get Deshaun Watson. I think that would make them a much better, exciting team. I think Sam had his opportunity, even though he wasn't really surrounded with the right players and the right playmakers. But he just, listen, Sam Darnold, Deshaun Watson, Deshaun Watson, Sam Darnold. And then, they're also looking at the kid from Brigham Young, the quarterback.
Okay.
His name, I'm getting old, guys. These names
Zach Wilson?
Zach
Yeah.
Wilson. You just fill in the blanks for me, John. Whenever
Okay.
like I do with my mother.
That works.
Yeah, you just fill them in. This kid's supposed to be a fantastic quarterback out of BYU. But listen, if they say Deshaun Watson, the Jets are in the mix, right? What does that mean? Why would Deshaun Watson want to come to play for the Jets unless you're one of those guys? You're a top-notch quarterback, and you're thinking, you know what? If I go to New York and I turn this franchise around, I'm a Joe Namath superhero, right? You're a hero. Or you could just go for the, all right, let me get to this team to have a better chance of winning. If I'm Deshaun Watson, you might want to go to, I might want to go to a better climate type of deal. You're getting paid. These guys are all in a different stratosphere than we'll ever know as far as money and pampering and fame. But I think the Jets, if they can work a Deshaun Watson type of deal, listen, then with that second pick in the draft, you're open to a defensive player, an offensive lineman type of player. Giants, on the other hand, who knows? Quarterback, John, what's his name?
Daniel Jones.
Daniel Jones. Um, have you gotten excited by what you saw from Daniel Jones the last 2 years? I don't know. Is he lighting it up? Is he showing you? I think he had that one great run last season, if I remember right. He had a run down the field. But listen, Giants too. They're a long. If you look at the two teams that were just in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Right. You got the Bucks. I mean, even you look at a team like that, and they're so far above because of Brady, of course, but they're just so far above where the Jets and Giants are, right? The Chiefs. I mean, you look at those teams, and the Jets and Giants have such a long way to go, and so many different moves and years to go before they're up in that elite stratosphere. Bless you.
Yep.
So it's just, is there anything to get excited about yet for the NFL season in New York? I don't think so, unless the Jets, we'll see what they do. If they get Deshaun Watson, all of a sudden you're like, holy cow, this could be an exciting team if they give him a couple of good receivers. But Watson he's the kind of guy who makes things happen by himself.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Sam doesn't, right? Jones doesn't. These guys, they're not that quick. They're not that mobile. And also, I know Sam, I think, ran for a TD this year at one point, if my memory serves me correct.
He did.
They both have a long way to go before you're up to even New York Yankees status, where you're just it's just an elite level here, and our two football teams are just floating around mired in the mud, somewhere down here. So you got to see what happens, right? Draft's coming up. Let's see what happens. And then you think about, okay, let me go buy some jerseys, and see how they do.
Well, my only thing is this. I mean, we've heard this with the Jets before, and all of a sudden we have that optimism. I mean, go back to when Brett Favre came to the Jets, or Mark Sanchez. We've seen how it turns out.
Right.
To me, you can't, and I agree that I think Watson will end up with the Jets, but that can't just be their main focus. Exactly. They have to build that offensive line. I've preached it on our show since we started. To me, you have to have a good offensive line. Doesn't matter who you have as a quarterback. Mm-hmm. If your offensive line is not at the top, your quarterback's going to be on the ground more times than he's throwing the ball.
Well, yeah, no, exactly. But listen, if you have to build around something and start somewhere, Deshaun Watson or even, if they would have gotten Trevor Lawrence, those are good. You got to build around the quarterback, right? Most important position on the field, bar none.
Absolutely.
Most important on the field, bar none. And you just, Tom Brady showed you that, over and over again.
Yep.
And they just haven't, listen, Sam was drafted a couple of years. It's been 3 years now he's been with the Jets?
Yeah.
Something like that.
And you just, that first game he came in, where was it? The Patriots, right? Where he threw a pick, his first pass ever was a pick.
Yep.
Came back, won that game, and boom, everybody was so excited. And then it was, okay, we're back to where we used to be. But, other than that, there's been nothing, Saquon Barkley with the Giants. You're not going to win you're not going to win the Super Bowl with just a great running back. It's never going to happen anymore. And the way this game is played now, it's such an offensive, high-powered, throw down the field, boom, 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 make things happen type of league that the running backs used to be Earl Campbell's of the world, right? Tony Dorsett's of the world.
Yeah.
But it's just not that game anymore.
Well, I've always made the comparison that Barkley to me is the modern day Barry Sanders.
I could see that.
He has the mobility of Barry Sanders, but unfortunately, because the Giants don't put the right pieces there, it's going to take a lot. And like you said before, with where you have the Bucks up here and you have Kansas City up here, the Giants are like floating, barely keeping their head above water. But Steven?
So you bring up Deshaun Watson, and I want to bring up his ex-teammate in Houston that signed a contract this week with the Arizona Cardinals, J.J. Watt.
JJ?
Yes, for $31 million. So what are your thoughts on J.J. Watt making that move, going to Arizona? Because he thought that he was going to go to a contending team, like Green Bay. and shoot, maybe Tampa Bay, who knows? Something crazy, can happen. But Green Bay, Tampa Bay, New Orleans, whoever, but he goes to the Cardinals, and what do you think?
Well, listen, like I said, JJ, so what was it? It was 32 million or 23 million 1 year. What was his deal?
It was 31 million
20
contract, 23 million guaranteed.
Yeah, okay. And that was 1 year deal?
2 year deal.
2 year deal.
So listen, what it tells me is that JJ Watt, as much as I'm sure he'd love to win a championship, it's not the most important thing to him. Kyler Murray, going to be a great quarterback. He's shown you he's a pretty good quarterback right now.
Yep.
You're going to Arizona. Listen, like I said, nice climate. Live out your NFL days in Arizona for another 32 million. It's not a bad way to go. I heard the GM of the team talking about JJ, said he still likes what he sees. Still explosive off the line. Who knows how explosive that is? The guy was great at one point. Well, listen, again, it's $23 million guaranteed. Go play 16 games in Arizona. Isn't a bad way to live. If you don't lay your head on that pillow every night and think, gotta win a title. I gotta win a title. I gotta go somewhere where I can win a title. That's like the nursing home of the NFL, right? You go to Arizona. That's the retirement home. You go to Arizona, hang. But listen, man, I'll go to Arizona for 23 million.
Yeah.
I mean, it basically shows you he didn't go there for the money.
No.
He wants to play.
He wants to play, but it's a nice
paycheck.
It's a nice paycheck, great place to be. And it is what he adds it on to the other couple $100 million he's already made.
Yeah.
And maybe you strike a little lightning in a bottle. When again, Kyler Murray's a fun quarterback to play for.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the coach?
Cliff Kingsbury.
Kingsbury.
Yes.
He's probably a great coach to play for. This is what, his third season, I think
third.
Third.
Yes, God, it seems like they just hired him.
I know.
And
Murray being drafted, and then
right.
19s are like, holy cow! Yeah, he's third year.
Yeah, it's a no pressure place to play. Really, you're not expected to do great things.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to play for Belichick, and you just it's Arizona, man. It's Phoenix. There's worse places to go finish up your career.
Yeah, I want to make the quick transition away from football because we talk a lot about football on the show. I want to look quickly at the NBA and the surprise team to me in the first half in the East.
Knickerbockers.
Exactly. Are you shocked that all of a sudden this team's in fourth place and making some noise?
What are they? They're 19 and 18, I think.
Yeah, something like that.
Right?
Yeah. Fourth place right now.
Listen, the guys on the team that you're hearing about are having great seasons. What you got? Peyton, right? RJ Barrett's second season, doing well. Julius Randle, Derrick Rose, those guys. It's great. I heard a great story today, just this morning here on the Fan. Julius Randle was talking about how when he was playing I think he was playing with Kobe.
Yep.
And they would go into different cities. The first thing you do, hey, let's go have some fun. We got a day off, so on and so forth. Kobe's ritual was, as soon as you land in this city, whatever city it is, we find a gym and we shoot some hoops.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing they do is find a gym, shoot some shots, and just get acclimated to the time and where you are and so on and so forth. And he has taken that ritual and he's brought it over to the Knicks. And I'm not saying this is why they're doing better, but it's more of a cohesive unit. Thibodeau's got them playing well. And all the guys say that it's just a different aura around them right now. Are they good enough to win an NBA title? I doubt it. But listen, here in New York, it's been such a, it's such a putrid feedings, and for everybody. We're
Mhm.
getting crumbs here and there. That I think a winning season will work just as well.
48 years since they last won a championship in 1973.
1973, I think, with my guy Clyde, right? Was
Yep,
Clyde on the
Clyde.
team, and
Yeah.
Earl the Pearl?
Mhm.
Was Earl the Pearl on that
Yeah.
73
Yeah, he
squad?
was. I think
And Phil Jackson.
yeah, Phil
But
Jackson was also,
Jackson was on that team. But
yeah.
I think, yeah, listen, you know what? You can't complain. Listen, for me, um, I would, like I said, I grew up a huge Met fan. Now, having been in sports for such a long time, I'm not a crazed fan of any team. I don't care who wins and loses at this point. It doesn't affect my life anyway. If
Mhm.
somebody wins, somebody loses. I'm just looking for the entertainment value. You know
Right.
what I
Yeah.
mean? These guys are making every sport. They're making so much money. Like I said, they're in a place that we'll never know, with the pampering and everything else that comes their way. To me, it's all about just entertain me, man. If the game's entertaining, great. If it's a boring game, I'm out.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Change the
Right?
channel.
Absolutely.
It's just like watching any other TV show. Unless you're a fan of a certain show that you'll watch every week from start to finish because you got to stick with the storyline. If I'm watching a Net game or a Nick game or a Yankee game, and I'm like, oh, geez, next.
Yeah.
That's just the way I watch it these days. I want to be entertained. And and again, most NBA games, listen, what the last 2-3 minutes are the best time to watch, right?
Mhm.
A lot of times college too, but if I'm flipping through and I'll see it's 9:40, Nick's probably almost done. Let me see how it's going.
Yeah.
I've lost that ability to sit through an entire game unless it's a Super Bowl or a playoff or a championship game. But regular season stuff, I'll be honest with you, you gotta entertain me or I can't sit through it.
Well, it's funny. Like I'm somebody where it's if I'm especially come baseball season, I'm that one person. Even though I'm on the East Coast, if I can watch like Oakland or like Los Angeles, for example, I'll be up at 11 o'clock at night watching the Angels play the
Yeah.
Mariners.
Right.
And to
You're
me,
you're what we call, John, you're what we call a lunatic.
exactly.
Well,
You're a
besides
lunatic.
that, it's
Uh,
you know what it is. We normally don't get to see the teams anyway.
Yeah.
So when they're on at night, yeah.
Right.
Scott, real quick, we have our Discord server, and we take calls off of that. Do you mind taking a few?
Yeah, no, listen, if you have calls, sure.
Yeah, Joe, unmute yourself and please come on in.
Hey Scott, how you doing this
Joe,
afternoon?
how are you, buddy?
I cannot complain whatsoever. I'm glad that you mentioned you listened to WFAN because I think a lot of us, we grew up in the same area around New York, New Jersey, tri-state area. WFAN
Sure.
back in the 90s and the 80s was daggone religion listening for any sports fan.
Yep.
But the question I got for you right now is about, basically, if you take a look at the sports landscape right now, shows like Our Nation show and anything on ESPN is basically just a televised bad copy of Mike and the Mad Dog. Do you think, and because of your media experience with the news and the sports and sports entertainment, that Francesa and Russo get enough credit for the type of media that's being consumed right now by sports fans like us?
Well, you know what? I think, listen, I used to listen to Mike and the Dog religiously, and they certainly had that, that great chemistry and two total polar opposite personalities, which made for entertaining radio. And it all comes down to that. Listen, they're both very knowledgeable sports guys. But there are a lot of knowledgeable sports guys that can't translate that into entertaining an audience. But I think, yes, a lot of the stuff you see today I'm sure every radio station that does sports throughout the country wants to emulate what they used to hear from Mike and the Dog. Just like a lot of morning radio show DJs and hosts, will try to emulate what they've heard from Howard Stern over the years, or a variation thereof. I'm guilty of doing that same thing. Just in doing my sports here in New York, I try to make it where it was entertaining for my audience who weren't necessarily sports fans to watch my sports cast because they just happen to be sitting around and stuck with us after the weather, right? Because in this day and age, once you get to the 10:50 or 11:25 time period at night, you guys already know if the Mets won or lost. You've already seen the highlights. You already know what happened in the Knicks game. So for me to come on and go, hey, everybody, the Knicks beat the Bulls tonight. Here's the highlights. You guys, it's like, crap, I saw this already. So I would always try to make it more entertaining with different packages. Yeah, all right, the Knicks won. Here's a highlight. Boom. Here's this guy with, who's got no legs, who was bowling today. So there's no reason for you to be upset when this guy's bowling with no legs. Just an example.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just an example. But yes, to answer your question, a lot of it, a lot of folks who are on the air, they have to be thinking, boy, look at how much money Mike and the dog made and continue to make. If I can be like that, I could probably make just as much money. The Stephen A. Smiths, what's his name, who just got a $32 million
Skip
deal.
Bayless.
Skip, $32 million for 4 years. He's got 100,000 people watching him a day.
Mhm.
Now, in the world of network television, you might as well have one person watching if you have 100,000 people watching. And he was just rewarded with $32 million. And that's just a perfect example of Fox A, not wanting Skip Bayless to go back to ESPN, and B, them either being too lazy to look for new talent that could bring them in another 600,000-700,000 viewers, or they're just, they're just figuring out what the hell else is out there. But can you imagine getting $32 million when you're talking to 100,000 people every day?
Yep.
Which is nothing.
No, it's. No, I
I
completely.
mean, it's a crazy world. It's broadcasting is a crazy place. There are people who are making money way up here, and then most of the people who are way down here, where there's radio stations, TV stations, who hire as young as they can get and don't want to pay out that money to bring in the audience that they used to bring in.
Carl.
So I hope I answered the question.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
I hope the answer is yes. Everybody's looking at Mike and the dog, and they should get a lot more credit than they do for what you see on TV and hear on the radio today. Absolutely, 100%.
So Scott, let me ask you this: you were talking about how, like, at night you have the recaps of the highlights and all that. How long do you actually take to put your segment together for that day?
Listen, man, it depends. When you have it down like anything else, and you have the job down, some things you could be out shooting a minute and a half piece for 3-4 hours in the day. You know what I mean? To put together that minute and a half piece that you want to run in your sportscast. Okay. But on a normal night, if it's just a regular night, you've got the Knicks playing, the Nets are playing, you got the Rangers are playing, here in New York. Yeah. If everybody's playing, but again, do I want to come on and give you highlights of every game that everybody's already watched? So what I would normally do with my producer is, and these days it's real easy to just scour the internet, find some fun videos, the short answer is it could take us, if I'm going on the air at 10:50 on a normal night, if we started at if I put a gun to my head, we could start at 10 o'clock and I could have everything done, written and ready at 10:50. But you like to get stuff done, do creative things. You literally scour the internet. We used to go to the Guinness Book of Records guys and see who broke a record today in some sports category. And I'd put that on the show. Or a 90-year-old woman who was on a balance beam, things like that, because that's stuff where they're not going to see everywhere else.
No.
And this day and age, it's real easy to do. But again, there are days where I would leave my house at 9 a.m. to go cover an event, go back to the station, sit with an editor, put it together, write it up. You have to edit it. You have to log it. So, there are days that you could spend 12 hours working on that 3-minute sportscast. There are days where you could literally just sit back and go, okay, we have every team playing tonight, so everything's written.
Okay.
And when those games end at 10:30, 10, 10:15, 10:20, especially if they're close games, you have to wait to cut the highlights of the game. So you always, you have your intros written. And then once the highlights are done, you just pick 3 of them and you write to them and bing, bang, boom, you have it done. It's really, in this day and age, to get the information you need is a very easy process. Real funny, quick story. I'll tell you guys. On our show, the Suki and Scott show the other night, we had this guy on by the name of Ira Rosen. Ira Rosen just wrote a book
I was gonna
called
say his name sounds familiar.
Ticking Clock. Right? Behind the scenes at 60 Minutes. This guy was the producer at 60 Minutes for about 25 years.
Wow.
And when he first started, he told us how, a great story, and it's in the book. He told us how when they first started, there was no internet. They would get newspapers that were 3 days old. So how do you get your stories? How do you find these breaking stories that 60 Minutes would come up with? What they used to do was they would play airport roulette. And they would take turns. You go to the airport, you get on the line, you go to the ticket counter with your credit card, you slap down your card, and you say, next flight out. And it didn't matter where that flight was going, right? If it was Detroit, Hawaii, Michigan, wherever the Peoria, wherever it was going, you had to get on that flight. Couldn't be the next flight. It's got to be that flight. You'd get on that flight, you land in that city, let's say Detroit, and you would look in those papers and on those TV stations and you would try to find a story that was good enough for 60 Minutes in Detroit. And if it was good enough, big enough, they would go with it. If you spent the day in Detroit and there was nothing going on that you could find, back to the airport, boom, next flight out, and you'd have to go to the next city, and you keep repeating this until you found an explosive story that 60 Minutes would air, in that time period, because at the time it was the biggest, investigative journalism show in the country. So I mean, I just thought that was so great, because it's, now you click, okay, what's going on today? Boom, boom, boom. You can pull any video you need off of YouTube. But it was just great the way they described how, you got it done back in the old days. But yeah, to answer your question, sometimes it would take all day. Most of the time it was just boom. Most of the time I'm watching Monday Night Raw. I'm watching SmackDown. Oh, 9:30. Better get the sportscast done. But yeah, so it's great though. It's a great way to make a living if you could do it. Before I got into broadcasting, the guys like Glenn Berman, Warner Wolf, Sal Marciano, Scott Clark on ABC, those guys are making $1 million to do 3 minutes of work at night. And I just told you how easy most of it really is. $1 million. They don't pay like that anymore. Because, New York, local news everywhere the advertising dollars have shrunk because there's so much out there. But it's a great way to make a living if you could do it. There's not very many jobs open in big markets that pay decent money, but it really is it's a great way to make a living. I never, I always used to say, my wife, it's a 12-hour day. And it's like, yeah, you know what though? I'm not digging a ditch. I spent 3 of those hours eating lunch, waiting to get back to the station. But it's a great time. It really is. It's an interesting, you meet celebrities, you meet the players, and every day is different. Every day you're covering new things, and it was really just a pleasure and an honor to do it. And you never know, and you might see me pop back up on a New York TV station one of these days.
Hey, we love it. I
Scott,
see a couple of Emmys, well, not Emmys, but a couple of your awards there.
Oh, these are Emmys, my friend.
Sorry, you got what, 2?
There's 5 more upstairs where these came from.
Wow. Nice, dude.
There's nothing better. Listen, they don't mean much when it comes, just like it's not like an Emmy on TV where you win and then you get calls from 90 different places. They want you.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's always nice to go up when you're up against like Bruce Beck and Russ Salzberg and those guys, and you end up winning. It's just fun to just hammer them a little bit because
but also the industry recognizes you.
Yeah, it's fun. It's good for the night because all your peers are in the room. The minute everybody leaves, it's like, hey, who won for best sports again? I forgot. But it's they're
Scott
good.
did.
It's good, it's good for my mother to tell people I won a few Emmys.
John?
You mentioned before about, in this job, you met a lot of celebrities. Is there one celebrity or one athlete that you met that has the experience was great and it stuck with you?
You know what? There are a lot of them. When it comes to athletes in New York, the two guys I always tell everybody, because people ask me this all the time, because
Mhm.
I've done a lot of post game stuff. I've done a lot of fun stuff with athletes. And the two guys that come to mind that would be my go-to guys all the time are Nick Swisher and Johnny Damon, who just got arrested, I understand.
Yeah.
But those two guys were always, no matter what happened, what was going on, the world wasn't ending because they lost the game. And they were always great guys to go to. Whereas you had other guys who were just like, hey man, can I do a quiz with? Yeah, no, I gotta go. I gotta go, man. I gotta go. Yeah, catch me later. And it's just like, dude, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Nick Swisher, Johnny Damon, great guys. Mark Messier was always just a great guy to deal with. We'll always, need him for 2 minutes to have some fun. And I don't gauge it by the guys who stand by their locker and talk after a post game show and give you the same crap every night.
Yeah.
I gauge it by the guys who would have fun with me when I needed to, when I needed a minute and a half to fill when nothing was going on. You know what I mean? If I was covering the Yankees, which I did a lot, we would say, hey, while I'm here, let's grab a few guys to do a quiz or songs, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So we have it on nights when nothing's going on. You know what I mean? When there are nights when no teams are playing, okay, let's get the Johnny Damon quiz out. When I would go cover spring training, everybody, if you watched every station, everybody gave you the same exact, I look forward to a great season. Same quotes. I would go, man. I would do quizzes with the fans. One time I pretended they were changing the baseball and making it bigger. And I told everybody I had the prototype. And it was literally the same ball. And I would go up to people, hey, man, you know what? They're thinking about making the ball bigger. They want the guys to be able to see it better, hit it longer, hit it. And I said, what do you think, man? Hold it, feel it. Do you think this is going to? And these people literally will, yeah, you know what? It does feel a little bigger, but I don't know. I think that's going to put the pitchers at a disadvantage. And I did a whole package like that for 2 minutes. Out of all the people that I spoke to, I had one little girl who kept going, this feels the same as this one. And I kept coming back to her in the piece. I'm like, no, feel it again. Feel it again. No, it feels the same. And we'd go and you'd see an adult guy. Yeah, no, this does feel bigger. And it was just, those are the things that we would do. Hey, we talk to the fans outside spring training. You know what? Hey, if you were going to walk up to the plate, what would your theme song be? And when my theme song would be, I'm making it. Well, sing it for me, and we'd make people sing and things like that. And it's just fun stuff that people get. That's just different from Derek Jeter going, yeah, no, it was another great day. I feel great. But what'd you think of, Derek Cole? That was great. You got to mix it up because on local news, the people who are sticking around for sports are the people who just didn't change the channel after the weather was done.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Back in the day, it was up. We didn't know what happened. Warner Wolf's going to give me the highlight. Let's go to the videotape. Warner would he'd make it fun for you.
I can remember hearing that all the time. Let's go to the table. I was like, oh boy.
There was a guy when I was a kid, Jerry Gerard on Channel 11, who was like a wise ass, he would goof on people. Great to watch. And then there were the other, listen, Len Berman. Len Berman wasn't that big of a personality. He was pretty straight laced when he gave you the sports, but he had his spanning the world, and he's giving you the highlights. And in those days, you never saw that stuff anywhere else. There was no internet. So when you saw a dog on a surfboard, you were like, "Holy shit, man, this is unbelievable." Right? So Len
You
was
miss
they-
those. Like
yeah, they were giving
nowadays, you
Yeah.
miss that stuff.
they were giving you those videos from all over the place.
Yeah.
So, back in the day, you had a favorite sports guy to watch.
Mhm.
I think now local news, again, if you're a sports fan, you watch the ESPN, you got everything you need to know. If you're not a sports fan, you're sitting there with your wife. And that was always my greatest pleasure, is when guys would come up to me in the mall or wherever I was and say, "Hey man, you know what? My wife doesn't even watch sports. She thinks you're great." And I'd be
Yeah.
like, that's what I love to hear.
You did your job.
That's it. If I made your wife, who doesn't love sports, want to watch me again tomorrow night, then I did my job.
Yeah, absolutely.
Scott, I got a question for you. You just talked about spring training. The atmosphere at spring training, is it different than when the actual season goes on? Because I'll be honest with you, I've never been to a spring training.
It's you know what? Oh, it's a lot different. I mean, it's relaxed. Listen, you got most of the people down there are coming from New York to hang and watch the Yanks or Mets work out. The great thing is when you're out on the fields, each team's complex has like 9 fields to it. So when you got I used to love watching my camera guy lug. He'd be running here, running there. Oh, there's the Grom. You got to get the Grom. And it was hot as hell, but it's great because the people stand right at the fence and they watch, the pitchers work out, and they watch the guys doing drills. And once they're done, the guys come up to the fence and they hang out, they take pictures. So it's such a nice, relaxed atmosphere, in beautiful weather, which never hurts. And,
That's
they
always a
were
bonus.
always, they were always done. You had to
Yes.
get there real early. Those were days, right? When people used to say, "Oh, you're going to spring training again. That's great." I'd say, "Well, here's what I have to do. I'm up at 7:00. I got to be in the clubhouse at 8:30, because that's when you get all your interviews. And then the team works out until noon. So you have to get all your B-roll for the whole season, right, of all the players. And then you're on the 12 o'clock newscast, you're on the 5 o'clock newscast, you're on the 6 o'clock newscast, and you're on the 10 o'clock newscast. So by the time you get done at 11 o'clock and you get to bed by around midnight, you're back up. So other than eating lunch and dinner, going to spring training as the sports guy from a station, that's probably the most work, constant, day-long work that you do. But it's the days fly by, and it's fun work. And it's just, the nighttime show you're doing from your pool at the hotel. You always see the guy sitting by the pool, right? With the shirt on, the polo shirt. But the atmosphere is really, it's fun. And once the games start going, the stadiums are small. Everybody's there, and it's just, the guys come out, you yell their names, they wave to you, and you watch a game, and you come in and out. The food's still, you eat your hot dogs, and it's a great atmosphere. If you've never been, I recommend it. And it was just nice. We'd go to Port St. Lucie, drive to Tampa, and it was just like a fun 5 days. Hard work, but again, very fast days, fun days. But you have to be at certain places. If I remember we're covering the Mets and Mike Piazza was coming, they were gonna honor him, and Piazza was coming back for like the first time since he left. And it was, well, all right, well, we're over here on this field. Piazza's going to be over here at noon. And you're doing this, you're interviewing David Wright, but okay, Piazza just walked out. We got to get over here. And it's just, you just have to, if you're in the right place at the right time,
Yes.
it works out well. And, the morning shows want you on. So, you're on everybody's show, and it's just a fun day. But listen, opening day at Citi Field and Yankee Stadium, and you can't beat that either. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Those are always great days also. So it's fun, man. It really is.
All right, Steven?
So I have a 2-part question for you. My first question is a question that I've always wondered, with your career. What is a game? What are some games or some moments, or as far as stories, games again, that you can think of off the top of your head that, man, like that was so great. I can't wait to come back the next day and talk about it. Because this is why I love talking sports, and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Well, God, I mean, there's a lot of them. When I was doing CBS 880, was where I started. I started on radio in New York on CBS, and I was, back and forth from Boston covering. I think it was 2003, covering the Yankees Red Sox series,
Right. Ooh,
right?
right.
And I think that was. The one where what was his name? Grady left in. What's his name? Who was your daddy?
Oh,
Yankee
Pedro.
Pedro. Yankees are my daddies.
Yeah.
He left Pedro in, one guy too long, and they hit the home run, and
Mhm.
Yep.
so on and so forth. And so many exciting games played there. I was there on the last night of the old Yankee Stadium.
Mhm.
I was there for that, covering, and when they had the All-Star game at Yankee Stadium was another great night. That's when what's his name? The guy who's had the drug problem was hitting
Josh
bombs.
Hamilton.
Johnny Boy, I like it. Hamilton was
He's your memory bank.
Hamilton was hitting. I could carry you around with me all day, but he was hitting.
Got it. Who got to hit the home run in 1975?
Right. I know. I can't remember his name. Lucky I can remember my kids' names from this point on. But there have been so many. My God, I got to host. I remember one of the Giants Super Bowl parades.
Ooh,
You can't.
right.
Well, let's see. I was at UPN 9. So I was there from 03 to 09. So did they win in 07?
Yeah, that was the infamous one where they defeated New England and stopped their
Right.
perfect season.
Right, with the Tyree catch.
Yes.
Okay, so
Yep.
they
Don't get me started on that one.
They had the parade. They had the parade down the Canyon of Heroes,
Right.
which I hosted that portion for Fox 5 at the time. And then I ran to the Meadowlands because they were having another celebration with the Giants at the Meadowlands. Okay. And on that same day, I had flown back from, I think it was a Tuesday is when they did it. So I had flown back from a Monday Night Raw at about 5:00 in the morning, back when I was doing behind the scenes backstage at Raw. So I had an early flight out. I got back around 7:30, went right down to what's it called? City Hall,
Right.
where the parade, we did that. But the greatest part was I hosted on Channel 9 the celebration at MetLife Stadium. I think, was it MetLife at the time or Giant Stadium? I don't even
think it was
remember.
still Giant Stadium.
It was still Giant
right?
Stadium.
And all the fans were right there in front of me in the crowd. The Giants were behind me on the risers.
Okay.
That's when Strahan did his what did Strahan was chanting something.
I remember. I don't remember what
Yeah.
it was, but I remember what you're talking about.
Yeah. Strahan was chanting. Everybody was going nuts, and the confetti was coming down. And it was just such a thrill for me to be there doing that, man. It was so much fun.
Nice.
And just, just memories that, will stick in my head. Thankfully, they're all on video. So if I ever wanted to look, they'll be there.
Right.
And I've just, listen, when I went to NBC4 here in New York, Chuck Scarborough and Sue Simmons, I had watched as a kid.
Mhm.
Next thing I know, I'm sitting there doing sports with the two of them, and I'm like, holy shit, man, this is unbelievable. Like my first night at NBC, I'm like, I'm sitting next to Chuck and Sue. This is good.
Dream comes true.
Yeah. It goes to show you how long they've been doing it.
Yeah.
Chuck's still going.
Yep.
And Sue Simmons was a big sports fan, and I would always sing and do jokes, and Sue was right there. The wrestling business, we call it, you sell them. Sue was right there to sell every joke I made. She cracked up whether it was funny or not. And if I did a song, she would sing it with me. Somebody makes a nice play. I'm like, glove stinks. Yeah. Or I should say a bad play. Anytime someone makes a glove play, you change the word love to glove in a song, you got a great highlight. You give glove a bad name. You're showing it in slow motion. And she would always laugh and sing. And it was just great, man. You working with these legends and then moving over to picks. You got Kaiti Tong is there, Mr.
Yeah.
G. Mr. G and I became, great friends, from working there together. And it's just, I used to sit on the morning show with Sukanya, hosting that show with her. Celebrities are coming in and out to do the show. And I'm like, this is unbelievable, man. Like half the people, half the women I had posters of in my room when I was a kid.
Your
would
interview.
Show up they're showing
Right.
up to the show. Women
Right.
from Charlie's Angels and 90210 and this actress and that actor, Vanessa Williams.
Mhm.
They come in. I look around the camera. I'm like, Vanessa Williams is on a show this morning. I better look her up real quick. But it's just great, man. And you have to learn to appreciate it while you're doing it because the time
Right.
flies. One day you're not doing it anymore. Thank God Suki and I have our show on now, which is digital all over the place. And we've got great celebrities and entertainers who join us every night. And it's just such a great time. So I'm thankful for that. We have a lot of things cooking that you'll probably see coming out the next, month or so. Things move slow in the broadcasting business, but it's all about content. Everybody's looking for it. And she and I have been doing it for a year, the Suki and Scott show,
Okay.
which was born out of the pandemic. And it's, it's kind of like this, but I do it on StreamYard, which looks like a TV show. And
I was just about to ask you to please tell us about the show that you're doing.
we what we do is it turned into like our morning show, but a Tonight Show format where we have a celebrity guest and we have an entertainer, whether it's a magician, a singer, impressionist,
Right.
and we're on for as long as we want or as short as we want because there are no rules.
Mhm.
And the show was born out of the pandemic with everybody sitting home. I do it right here where I'm sitting. She's in her kitchen. And we bring in, people like, Rick Springfield was on last week. I'm singing Jesse's Girl with Rick Springfield.
Nice.
The keyboardist from the Moody Blues was on with us the other night.
Wow.
Wow.
I mean, it's fan. There are so many people in this country who are so talented that you've never heard of and you don't know about, who are amazing musicians, comedians, like I said, hypnotists and things like that. Anything that will entertain our audience. It's just all a fun hanging out, no bad news. We never covered politics or really the pandemic, what was going on. It was only, hey, you want to escape the crappy news every night? Boom, you come on. We do the show live. We used to do it 5 nights a week. Now it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We do it live on our Facebook page. So instead of recording it, we do it live. And then the show is recorded after we do it live. And then it goes out to different streaming platforms like Roku and Stir and View It and all these different, digital platforms that air the show.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just our audience is insane. It's 40 plus women across the country, and they live for it every day. And it turned into a real steamroller of a show. And I used to go asking for guests. I'm booked now through March into April.
Wow.
All these PR people and media people emailing, hey, got a new movie out. I want to get so-and-so on the show. I was telling John before last night, we had Matthew Willig on, who is Andre the Giant on Young Rock.
Right.
Well, he was on last night, and the guy was, professional football player at one point, playing, Andre. After him, we had a guy on from The Voice who was an amazing singer, and it's just those are our shows, and it's it's been fabulous, and we've got a lot of interest from different network people and production companies. So
Nice.
the thing is, I always said to Suki, I said, listen, we're not making any money from it right this minute. We will. It'll be big. Let's just every night you got to stay consistent like you guys are doing with this show. Just keep putting out the content, keep doing it. And we've done it for just about a year now. We have about 140 episodes in the can, which are nice evergreen episodes, which people love.
Nice.
Nice.
And it's,
And-
now's the time where we have a sizzle reel we put together, and it's just, it's been a great run. And we're still, like I said, I can't even stop if I wanted to. I George
Right.
Lopez is coming on next week. I don't know if you guys remember Lisa,
Yeah.
the singer, right?
Right.
Ooh, baby, I think I love you from head to toe.
Yeah.
She's
Right.
coming on. Johnny Boy, you like that song?
No comment.
She's coming on. Debbie Gibson's. We have all like I love the nostalgic guests because that's our audience.
Yeah.
I love having people on from the old sitcoms and what's his name? Bill Engvall, the comedian from
Wow.
Oh,
Here's your sign.
Here's your sign.
Holy shit, dude. That's awesome.
Bill was on. Bill says on the show, he's like, guys, this is probably the most fun I've had on one of these shows in the last 2 years. Boom, clipped it right on the sizzle reel. Thank you, Bill. Thank you for coming, my friend.
Wow. Dude, that is
Well, that's like us. Yesterday was our 1 month anniversary for doing our show.
Right.
Our sister show, the Nation Show, next Saturday is a 1 year anniversary for them.
That's great. That's the thing. Somebody in the business told me, he said, listen, just put yourself out there, keep putting it out there. You stay relevant. People see it, take the clips, put it on social media, boom, boom, boom. Half the day I do my WWE stuff right from here now. I've been doing it from here for the last year, except for the pay-per-view pre-shows where we go to the studio. But this is my set. And I change out the poster back here for a wrestling poster.
I was gonna say I like that poster though.
Yeah. And I have a slap shot poster. I've got a bunch of them. But
Wow.
it's just basically, I sit here all day. I'm editing clips. I'm doing shows. I'm doing voiceovers. Everything is literally being done from this seat I'm in. And it's just the world we're in right now is phenomenal. I love, I look forward to getting back into studios at some time. But this is real. I mean, it's convenient, and every show is done this way right now. So thank God for the technology we have, boy, because if we had this pandemic and you didn't have this technology for, for kids in school and everything, boy, we'd be up the creek without a paddle.
Yeah.
But,
it's
dude,
it's great.
Congratulations, man. And keep up, the great work with your show. And
Thank you, bud.
It's amazing how, stuff like this happens. In the crisis that we've been in for next week will be a full year since COVID shutdown.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And my second question is, how do you think the Brooklyn Nets are going to finish out the season? Because James Harden obviously quit on his team, the Houston Rockets. And he goes to Brooklyn. You got Kevin Durant. You got Kyrie Irving. You got superstars. How do you think Brooklyn this year? Because to me, I've said this, and John has said this. It's NBA championship finals or bust.
It's got to be, man. Listen, you got Nash, who I think has been a decent coach.
Mm-hmm.
They finally have a big three, right?
Right.
Durant, Harden, Kyrie. I like Dinwiddie, but they got rid of Dinwiddie, correct?
Yes, I think so.
Dinwiddie they moved in the Harden deal.
Yeah, I think they moved pretty much half the team.
Yeah, yeah. So, but listen, you got your big three, and like Steve just said, it's you got to get to the, Eastern Conference Finals. I'll give them that. You go Eastern Conference Finals first year together, and then next year you move. You got to make it to the finals, but. When Harden, when he's been on his game, man, that guy's unstoppable.
Mm-hmm.
If you have all three of those guys working together, Durant's had all these different COVID problems and he's been out and this and that, but you have the three of those guys on the floor together. I mean, you could see how
unstoppable.
Change. Yeah. I mean, look at what happened with the Warriors, right? You don't even look at them as like a force anymore, really. But I think the Nets they've got the components right now to at least Eastern Conference Finals, at least.
Yeah, absolutely. Carl?
So real quick, what's the way we can get a hold of you for watching your show again?
Oh, well, if you want to watch, it's facebook.com. It's the Suki and Scott show on Facebook. So it's facebook.com/Suki and Scott show. We do it on YouTube also. That's where I like to store all our shows. That's not where our audience is. We usually do about 60, 70,000 views on a show. And
Well,
then
Scott, I
that-
think we're fixing to change that, my friend.
Oh yes, we will make sure our listeners here get to follow you.
Oh,
watch your shows.
I got to tell you, man, the show, and I'm not just saying this because it's us. The show is it's fun, man. It's, Suki and we've always had a great chemistry together. When people are on our show, we have made we did George Lopez back in the spring. He was on
Holy
George
shit.
Lopez. George
Wow.
Lopez was on a golf cart playing golf. He calls into the show, right? He's cruising around the course. Calls in on his phone. He's on the phone. He's on with us for about a half an hour. He's
From the golf course.
These guys playing golf with Cedric the Entertainer
Damn.
and Anthony Anderson from Blackish.
Oh.
So he pulls up to the hole. Fife catches up with these guys because he was talking us for a half hour. Pulls up and catches up to those guys. Gets on with Anthony Anderson. Gets on the phone, and we're doing a whole show with him and Anthony Anderson. Waiting to tee off.
Oh my!
And it's just we
Holy
made so many great friends. That's why he's coming back on. He had such a good time. And just the way, Suki and I have a great chemistry with each other. So when we're interviewing people, we make them feel like they're hanging out with friends.
Right.
Yeah.
The questions are fun. We do our research on these people. So, I love to put up, like with StreamYard is a live show again. I have everything in front of me. So I have B-roll, I have videos, I have pictures. So I love to bring up things from people that they're not expecting when you go deep into the internet and find stuff with them or fun pictures or a movie that they were in 30 years ago that they're embarrassed about. I pull up a clip. They have such a great time. And with Suki and I will goof on each other while we're talking to these people. If we're dealing with like an actress, Suki's like my wingman. She's like, Scott, she is so into you right now. It's unbelievable. And you just make them feel comfortable and have fun. I've always been a huge fan of Howard Stern. He's one of my idols in broadcasting. And his interview style is second to none. So I've always tried to emulate his approach to it, where you just make people feel at home, let them open up. We never
like
get
family.
into nothing too negative, as we say.
Right.
But it's just that they laugh, they have a good time, and every time they're done, the publicist will email us or the celebrity themselves. Hey, man, I had a great time. Anytime you need me back, just let me know.
That's awesome.
Dude, I bet you Anthony was like the George. Hey, where the hell you been? Oh, I've been on the show with.
Listen, if you go on Suki and Scott Show.tv,
Okay.
Suki and Scott Show.tv, you'll see the front page has our sizzle reel on it. And you'll see right off the bat some of the people that Lou Gossett Jr. was on the show with us.
I was supposed to meet him last year at the Chilla Theater.
Yeah. Lou Gossett was on with us. And, by the end of the show, Lou's going, you know what? Next time I'm in New York, I'm taking you two guys to dinner. And I'm on the sizzle reel, I'm like, Sue, can you imagine us having dinner with Lou Gossett Jr.?
One of the greatest actors there is.
Mary Lou Henner from Taxi, and
Wow.
Anson Williams from Happy Days, and
Nice.
Burt Ward from the played Robin on Batman and Robin.
What?
So, listen, if you have these great celebs and you pair them up with entertainers who usually come on afterward, dude, you got, before you know it, the show, you got an hour show in the books. We do a little overtime stuff where some other people join. We sing, we bullshit, we have fun.
Dude, it's awesome.
It turned into now it's turned into a job.
Yeah.
Where it used to be, all right, let's turn it on at 7:30 and we'll go. Now I'm producing this thing all day long. You know what I mean? Once I get my stuff done, I'm literally 3 hours. I'm grabbing clips. I'm grabbing YouTube videos. If I have a singer on, I grab a video. Hey, you know, so and so. We had this guy from The Voice last night, Ian Flanagan. Guy sounded like he could have. He sang "Who'll Stop the Rain"
Okay.
from Creedence.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
This guy sounds like he could be the lead singer of the group. With that, if you look up Ian Flanagan from The Voice, he was a top 3 finisher, and they come on. The guy was sitting in an RV. He's on vacation with his wife, playing the guitar, just singing songs. The women viewers on our show, everybody, we do it live because you get all of the reaction,
Right.
comment. If I tell you, man, that the people, the women around the country are just, and they just constantly write, "Oh my God, this is great. This reminds me of my husband. This is," and it's just, and they love it, and they can't wait for, you know, they can't wait till we come back on, and it's been phenomenal, man. It really has. It really has. I said to Suki, I said, listen, you know what? We're not doing local news anymore. That's not the future. I said, we're going to do our own show. We're going to do it every friggin' night. We're going to build up the content. And it's been a year. We built it up. We just keep going. But when you tell a streaming service like, you know, Roku or somebody like that, hey, you know, oh, by the way, I have 140 episodes in the can. That's content.
Yeah.
Boom. Oh, you have 140 episodes? That'll cover us for a year. Boom. Here you go. And you're doing more every night? Yeah, absolutely. And there's so many streaming services out there. And it's just, you know, with this new world we're in, yes, there's a lot more choices and it's watered down, but anybody could do it. The opportunities are endless, man. You just have to have enough, you know, as Gorilla Monsoon used to say, intestinal fortitude.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
To, you know, to just keep it going, because you know you could just be like, you know what, I don't want to do this today. Nothing's happening. We're not getting any interest, and you never know what phone calls come in the next day.
Mhm.
And I've had days where I would text Suki and be like, yeah, you know, I'm a little depressed today, man. Things aren't moving as quick as I'd like them to. 10 minutes later, I get an email from a guy at Crackle, which is owned by Sony. Hey, man, we love your show. We'd love to. I'm like, Sook, we just and, you know, 2 minutes later, it changes. But you gotta just keep going, keep putting
Well,
it
that's
out
like
there.
John and I we're texting back and forth going, okay, we're in contact with this one. We're in contact with this one. I'm just
That's
like,
it.
wait, what?
Well,
You gotta
that's
just-
my whole thing. Like I said to you before, we only started the show a month ago. And the people we've gotten on and the people who we're in contact with to
Mhm.
get on in the future, I'm pitching myself every other day. I'm like, most people on a Friday afternoon are at work or they're hanging out.
Right.
I get to talk to one of the most legendary sports broadcasters
Well, you
in
know,
New York.
And Scott, and also too, we had Danielle McCartan as our first interview.
who's that?
Danielle McCartan.
From WFAN.
Oh, from the Fan.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude,
Oh,
she's
okay.
great.
But I mean, the people who we have on our next live show, which will be next Thursday, we're
Right.
having Tanya Sturts, the former Yankee.
Oh, Tanya. Yeah. Listen, what I would say to you guys is, here's what you do. You know how you sent me on Twitter
Yes.
a mess, and you know, listen, that's how I get a lot of my celebrities. I get
That's
them
what
from
we're
Twitter.
doing. We're going, ever got an open DM? Boom.
That's it. Dom Lombardozzi from Ray Donovan, one of my favorite shows. He played the cop in like the last season or whatever.
Yeah.
I sent them a message on Twitter. But here's what I recommend for you guys to do. Make a one sheet about your show.
Okay.
Title of the show, and boom, 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 who you've had on, who's coming on, and make it like a 1-paragraph thing,
Yep.
right? And then all you have to do is you sit. That's what I do. There'll be times in the morning. 6 o'clock in the morning. I'll just copy and paste. Hey, we'd love to have you on. Boom. And instead of having to write everything, here's what our show is. You have your little sheet and you forward it along. Hey, man, we'd love to have you on. Boom, with the one sheet. Love to have you on. Boom. And you could just sit there all day.
Copy.
On
Copy. Yep, exactly.
Instagram instant messages.
Yeah.
Some people look at them, some people won't. I've instant messaged 100 celebrities on Instagram. You know how you could see when it says seen underneath?
Mhm.
Yep.
They never look at that crap. But you know what? 1 out of 50 will, and you end up getting a nice little pop from it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we
Yeah,
appreciate any invites, not invites, but any pointers you can give us too.
I would also say move over to StreamYard if you like.
Yeah, that's definitely something we're looking into.
StreamYard, it costs a little money a month. You can do a free version, which I think it gives you 8 shows a month. I don't know how many you want to do, but I think it's $25 a month. Well worth it. Where you can, there's graphics. There's if you go look at our show, you'll see how I have it set up. You could do backgrounds with the city, and graphics and video. It's very user friendly, and it's just you put in everything you need for that show right on the side. Pictures and video and graphics. It has scrolls. So like if I'm on right now, you could have a scroll going because Suki and Scott show every night on Facebook Live. So you have
That's something John and I were talking about with like the sports on the bottom.
Right. You have that scrolling across. And just it's really I recommend it to everybody who does stuff like this. It's called StreamYard, and it's just I think it's the most user friendly. 25, it'll give you it shoots in HD. Once you're done with the show, you can download the video right to your laptop. You can download just audio if you want to do a podcast. And it's just a step above Zoom.
Wow.
And you can do everything in real time. So you don't have to go back and, take the show and then produce it afterward. You do everything in real time and it's done.
Absolutely. But Scott, thank you so much.
You got it, guys. No problem.
For coming on today. We hope to have you on again.
Yes.
In the future.
Absolutely.
But
yeah, man, we got to do wrestling. We didn't even touch on wrestling.
Oh, we will.
What I'll do is I will have Joe contact you to come on to the Nation Show.
All right.
But for Scott Stanford, for Carl Roberts, I'm Steve, and for Steve Winan, I'm John Blind. I don't know why I just did that.
What, you're blind now?
Never mind, Steve. Don't even go there.
This has been another exclusive Our Nation Sports Show Discord exclusive. We will see you guys next Thursday, and we'll see you every Thursday going further. Have a great night, guys.